You're listening to Answers for the Family with Alan Cardoza, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Greetings to all of you listening around the world, and a warm welcome as we bring you another edition of the Answers for the Family radio show.
I'm your host, Alan Cardoza, and if you're a regular listener, thank you for joining us once again. If this is your first time, please make yourself comfortable as we bring you Answers for the Family. Now, each week, this show will address issues such as locating a runaway teen, family crisis intervention, building self-esteem, dealing with addictions, lasting health, and so much more. And having over 30 years experience working with families in crisis, I am grateful to have met and worked with some of the top professionals in many of the helping fields and skilled authors who are working to make this world a better place for all of us. Now, you all can do me a big favor. Please check out some of our past shows at answersforthefamily.com to hear informative and entertaining guests, as well as some dynamic co-hosts, discuss ways that you and your loved ones can become happier, healthier, and more at peace. And I'm also looking for some show ambassadors who will forward at least one of our shows to your social media group or someone you know who can benefit from a particular subject. I want you to know that I truly appreciate it, and this is just another way that we can make a positive difference in the lives of others. Now, our topic today, I think, is very fitting for the time of the year that it is, and that is how to raise kids who love their bodies. Well, according to the National Center of Biotechnology Information, by the age of 10, over 80% of American girls and boys are afraid of being what they put it as being fat. Entering their teens, over 50% of girls and nearly 33% of boys use unhealthy weight control behaviors such as smoking cigarettes, vomiting, or taking laxatives or worse. By the age of 13, 53% of American girls say that they are unhappy with their bodies. This number grows to 78% by the time they reach 17. Now, as an eating disorder survivor, our guest, Dana Suchow, knows firsthand how harmful these thoughts and messages can be to young minds, and she works tirelessly to help parents stop eating disorders in children before they start. In 2012, Dana founded DoTheHotPants.com as a fashion blog. But once she realized fashion's unattainable beauty standards were fueling her eating disorder, Dana made the difficult decision to leave that industry and focus on eating disorder prevention. In 2014, Dana founded #MyBodyStory, an ongoing storytelling series created to uplift girls' and women's voices that so often go unheard. In 2016, Dana co-founded The Ripple, a nonprofit nationwide activist collective focusing on helping women make waves in their own communities. In 2018, Dana was awarded the Girl Up #Girl Hero Award by This Is Us star and activist Chrissy Metz. Now, an international speaker, Dana has worked with audiences from elementary school to college, appearing in person or by video. She lives in New York City and holds a master's degree in creative writing from San Francisco State University. You can find her on Good Morning America, the Oprah Winfrey Network, Vogue, Huffington Post, Yahoo, Elle, 17 Magazine, and now right here on Answers for the Family. We welcome you to stay with us and learn more about Dana's outstanding work and to jump in and start discovering some of your own aha moments and practices to bring your family closer together and raise healthy, self-confident kids and teens who know they are loved no matter what. Dana, welcome back to Answers for the Family.
Thank you so much for having me. Again, thank you. It really is an honor to be on your show. I loved the conversation we had last time, and I'm really excited that we get to continue it. So thank you.
Well, it is my pleasure, and hopefully the pleasure of all of our listeners as well. And I think the timing is right.
Yeah.
You know, this is something that I know goes on all year long. But I think as we get to the holidays, I think that it becomes a much bigger issue. So, I mean, at this point, I mean, share with us, or at least, with the audience, some of the issues that young people deal with when they just don't like how they look?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to, what you said about this being the perfect time to have these conversations is absolutely true. I mean, we're coming right off of Thanksgiving. We're right around the holiday season. So everyone is quote unquote overeating. Everyone is, they're not going to the gym as much as they think they need to. And so, right around January 1st, all of those New Year's resolutions to lose weight, those gym discounts, all the memberships that we all, buy, for gifts for each other. It's definitely the season where we're all focused about weight and bodies. So I am so excited that we're talking right now, because I'm hoping that, some of the conversation we have will, I don't know, help someone out there listening that thinks they have to go to the gym or they have to exercise to burn off the calories that they've eaten over the last week. And so, to go in, really, like, the work that I do is I love working with adults. But I think that adults, we have so much trauma and body image issues already, and I love being able to work with families to give them tools on how to help children, because I think if we can prevent this stuff, if we can raise the next generation to love themselves in ways that we were never taught, I think we're really setting the next generation up for success. And so, to answer your question, what are some things that kids deal with? I mean, depression, anxiety, feeling less than, eating disorders is kind of the extreme, but kids who don't like their bodies score less in math. They don't do as well in science. They report more sick days. So really, teaching kids to love themselves is, there's this great saying that I really like, which is you can't hate something so much that you start loving it. And how can we teach children to take care of themselves and love themselves and be kind to themselves by teaching them to hate themselves? And so, I want this discussion, and I want the work that I do to kind of challenge what we've been taught all our lives, that we have to hate ourselves into submission, because it really, if we can come from a place of love, we're like plants. Like, we will grow if we love and water and feed and give ourselves the sun that we need, instead of yelling at us to grow and change.
Well, and I certainly couldn't agree more. And I know that, that most parents will say, but, I do love my children, and I tell them constantly how much I love them. Mm-hmm. But talk a little bit how, on the one hand, we can be telling our child how much we love them, and then on the other hand, be saying, stop doing that because, you're fat or you don't look good.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think, so to start this, I want parents that are listening to know that I'm not here to yell at you. I'm not here to make you feel foolish or stupid or bad that you may have said the wrong words to your child, or that you may be giving mixed messages to your child. We are all doing the best we can in this world. We are all trying the best we can with the tools that we have. I'm here to give you more tools, but I know that we're all giving kids mixed messages. That's just what's happening. And so I want you to know that you're not alone. If you're listening to this going, oh, shoot, I say that, oh, shoot, I did that. But really, we can tell kids we love them all we want, but our actions, I do think actions speak louder than words. And so if we are saying, I love you so much, but, don't eat that, you're going to get fat, or, oh my gosh, did you see that person walking down the street? They had cankles, and, body shaming ourselves, body shaming others, body shaming kids. It sends the message that we love children conditionally. We love them as long as they fit a body type. And children and adults and everyone deserve unconditional love. There should not be a condition. There should not be a I love you as long as, I love you if, I love you but. That should never be a sentence that we say to children when we tell them we love them. And so if you're saying I love you, but don't get fat, but, oh my gosh, do you see how ugly that person is down the street? Or, oh my gosh, I hate my own body. What we say to kids is, I love you, but if you look like this, if you end up looking like that person, that ugly person across the street, if you end up looking like me or having the body part that I talk about how much I hate all the time, I won't love you. I will treat you the way I treat that person across the street. I will treat you the way I treat my own body. And so again, it's the language, it's the action, it's how we're talking, the words we're saying, and also the words we're not saying that we have to start becoming more aware of.
So now how much of this is societal from the standpoint? I know that there's a lot of brain studies out there that say that, that our brain, responds 10 times greater to negative input than it does positive input.
100%.
So from a marketing standpoint, I feel that we have people out there that are exploiting this to sell product.
Right. Well, again, if we all loved every single part of our body, imagine how many industries would go out of business. Would there even be certain industries left if we loved ourselves? But it's hard. So this is important, is to talk about media and representation and the bodies that we see over and over and over again represented in media. We only see thin, white, young, abs, perky, curvy. It's interesting because, when I work with schools and teens and kids and I say, okay, describe the perfect person, they give me 50 or 60, descriptions to describe the perfect body. And some of them are contradictory. Some of them is, thin, but curvy, perky breasts, but not too big, and it's all these things where it just goes to show that we have been told so many mixed messages to keep spending money. Because if we're confused and we think that, we have to keep changing our bodies, we're going to keep spending money. I like to call it's almost like a goalpost. And we're never going to score a touchdown because that goalpost keeps moving. There's a great example if we just look at eyebrows. And I know this is so small, but if you look at the trend of eyebrows from like the 20s to the 30s to the 40s to the 50s, eyebrows keep changing. And they keep changing shape so that women keep chasing this ideal eyebrow. And that's just one tiny aspect of our bodies. That's the thing, is that bodies, the ideal body keeps changing. The goalpost keeps changing. And so that's why we all think we have to look like this, because that's all we see represented in media. And, just to add one more thing is, when we see one thing over and over and over again, it tells our brains that is the normal way to exist. Let's take body hair, for example. It's very rare to see any type of body hair representation on women in ads, media, TV, movies, anything, video games, whatever. It's very rare to see a woman with leg hair. So when we do see it, when you see a woman walking on the street with leg hair, it is so abnormal. It is so weird that people stare. And so it's important for children to be exposed to lots of different bodies, because they grow up seeing that, everybody is normal. Everybody is okay to exist in its own way. And so that's why, it is important for parents to kind of monitor the media that their children are seeing, or make sure that their children are seeing a wide variety, a wide exposure of media, to kind of combat that, to combat what's going on in our brains that's telling us that we have to have one body type to be perfect and accepted.
Probably the saddest part of what you said, the very first part of what you said, which had to do with you asked them to give as many descriptions as possible of the perfect person, and they gave 50 different physical traits, but I didn't hear honest, loyal, considerate, trustworthy, helpful. That's somebody that loves themselves and that sees more than just that physical part. Now, another point that you brought up from the standpoint of what people see, that if you don't see the leg hair, as you pointed out, then when you see it, they don't know what to think, or they instantly make a judgment that may not be accurate. Now, I can relate that same thing to working with like autism patients or whatever. From the standpoint that when my kids were small, and I would take them like for a Halloween event or something like that with one of the regional centers that works with mentally or physically disabled people, and so my kids were never afraid of that kid that came into the school that was different.
Right.
Because they had gone and played with it, and to them, because they started so little, it's like, for Halloween, okay, well, there was some 200-pound guys running around in Batman and Superman outfits, and that seemed very normal then. So I can't agree more about the fact that with communication and with education, we can, if we understand where other people are coming from better, we can stop looking at it as something that's negative when it's not.
Absolutely. And I love that you're bringing up, ability also, because so much of the work I'm doing, yes, I'm talking about fat, I'm talking about, weight, but it's full spectrum. It's skin color, it's ability, it's age, it's weight, it's height, it's all of these things. It's all of these things that we don't see representation in media. And, I love using the example, even the Wonder Woman movie, she was perfectly shaved. She was like hairless, and yet she's supposed to live in the Amazon or wherever she's supposed to live. And I never saw a single razor or a single, waxing machine there. And so again, it's just kind of thinking outside the box and, thinking like, what's missing at this table? Who's missing at this table? What is the image that my children are seeing over and over again? Or, like what you're saying is, who are my children playing with over and over again? What's the community that my child is existing in? And how can I expand that? How can I make sure that my child is having a touch point with lots of different types of people? Because that's what the real world is. The real world is not a social media model. The real world is not bulletins or, who we see on TV. The real world is who our friends, our coworkers, our family, and those are usually very diverse. And I think we need to focus more on the reality, on the real, instead of the unattainable.
Well, I couldn't agree more, and I hope everybody is, I hope everybody is listening, because, that's going to make such an incredible difference.
Yeah.
Now, I want to kind of get back to the food thing. So let's talk
absolutely.
Food again for a minute. But so how much of the problems that young people are having today comes from what we eat versus why we eat?
So right off the bat, I'm going to say I'm not a nutritionist. So I don't want to, give wrong information. I don't want parents to think that I'm saying, okay, well, now we got to talk about macros and calories and, where our food comes from. But I will say, I think the United States and a lot of developed countries have a pretty messed up food system. I think that, yes, we have to look at advertising. We have to look at media. We have to look at diet culture and the diet industry and, and medical misinformation about weight and plus size bodies. But I don't think that we can also pass up, the fact that children are seeing advertisements for fast food and for sugary drinks and for chemicals and for all of these things. And, I do want to just say, I don't think having a soda every once in a while is bad. I don't think eating McDonald's or those things are bad. If you're eating it every day, if you're eating it, everything in moderation, everything, we've got to listen to our bodies. But again, when you're being marketed to, when you're being told, that this food is delicious and great over and over and over again, it's going to make an impact. And, there's two points I want to talk about this is one, when we talk about food marketing or marketing in general, so children's, their prefrontal cortex isn't fully formed until I think they're like 18 or 21, until they're adults. And that is part of that part of the brain is being able to tell fact from fiction. And so that's why brands, Nike, Adidas, McDonald's, Nerf, whatever brand, G.I. Joe, whatever brand we're talking about, that's why most children have brand recognition and can pick their favorite cereal, their favorite shoes, their favorite, clothing brand, even though they have no idea what it tastes like or what it looks like, when they're like 5 or 6 or 7 years old. And this is because brands know it. And that's why, that was why they made laws laws that you can't advertise cigarettes to kids under 18, and now you can't advertise cigarettes, at all. But again, brands know this. The government knows this. And so that's an important factor, is just to know that children's brains aren't fully developed to process advertisements. And the second part is, we have to also, when we're talking about food, we're talking about clean food, dirty food, clean eating, fast food, all of this stuff, we have to take into account that a lot of communities in the United States exist in food deserts, and their only access to a grocery store might be a Walmart, and their only access to food, to quick and easy food, might literally be a fast food restaurant. And so what happens is society has trained us to end up shaming the individual. We see someone and we judge them based on their body, instead of going, wow, the system is really messed up, that this person might not have access to grocery stores. This person might not even have access to, X, Y, and Z. And another thing too is you have to think about food stamps. So people on food stamps, you can buy fruits and vegetables, but how many calories is that going to get you? How long is that going to last? How are you going to stretch that with, a family of 4 or a family of 5? And so you also have to think, a lot of these families are trying to get as many calories as they can into their kids, in as fast as possible, because many people are working 2 and 3 jobs. So, that's again why I say we cannot judge other people based on their bodies, because you have no idea what someone else is going through in their life. You have no idea what kind of access they have. You have no idea if they have a hidden disability. You have no idea if maybe they're actually happy and healthy. And so, yes, is our food system messed up? Absolutely. And so if people are angry about it, instead of getting angry at someone at a McDonald's, get angry at McDonald's. Get angry at the system. Find ways to get legislation in that, there has to be grocery stores, accessible, gardens in your neighborhood, get your school to build a garden. These are ways that you can create more accessibility of fruits and vegetables for kids. And so, and again, we also have to talk about the diet industry, a system that's in place that tells people that they have to be thin to be healthy and accepted and loved and pretty. And it's just not true, but we believe it so much. The diet industry makes, $66 billion a year profiting off of our insecurities. And so, we have to be cognizant. We have to be aware of the systems in place that end up making individuals hate each other instead of actually fighting the bigger picture.
Well, and the second half of that question is why we eat. So I think that kind of goes to the point in regards to depression and things, because I think we kind of have a vicious cycle that if we have a situation to where we are, we are shaming somebody, for the way in which they look, which then brings on depression. And with depression, then we're now we're isolating ourselves. And then in isolation, what do they do in isolation? Eat more to try to combat the depression.
Of course. I mean, getting bullied for your weight or your body or your ability or whoever you are, it doesn't feel good. Humans are social animals. We're social creatures. We need a pack. We need a community. And so, I think we can't talk about depression and anxiety in kids if we're not talking about bullying also, and just making kids feel other. But something else that you talked about was just, we are in a vicious cycle. And I think, one of the reasons we're in a vicious cycle is because we're all in a constant starvation cycle. How many diets, I don't remember the exact number, but it was something like by the time women reach 40, they've been on like 30 or 40 different diets. And I mean, I'll tell you, when I had my eating disorder, I think I did that many diets in like 2 weeks. So it's, the fact that we are constantly on this kind of restriction and then overeating, because we're constantly hungry, because we're always counting calories, we're counting macros, we're trying different diets. No one is really sitting and listening to their body and being okay with maybe eating, pie and cake and whatever, and feeling like they don't have to go to the gym the next day. So, I think too, that's why we're eating, and that's why we're feeling out of control because we're constantly restricting. We're hungry.
Yeah, it's just so ridiculous that we're hungry, but yet at the same time we are overeating. We're overindulging.
Yeah.
At the time we're hungry. So anyway, we're going to take a break. But for everybody out there, if you want to, if you want to learn more, if you want to follow Dana, you can go to www.dana, and it's spelled SUCHOW.com. So that's DANASUCHOW.com. You can go to her website. You can open it up now. You can follow along with us. But that's where you can also go and get a little more information. Stay with us. We'll be right back. You're listening to Answers for the Family.
Hi, I'm Marty Cove. You might remember me from my film roles such as the Sensei in the Karate Kid films and a variety of others. I've done over 100 films and countless stunts in my career, and I've always given 100% physically. As fun as it was, I've had to have multiple surgeries from doing some of my own stunts. With the damage done to my body over time, I needed to find relief from this chronic pain. My passion for health and fitness drove me to find a natural way to combat body and muscle pain without taking medication every day. Teaming up with doctors, detectives, and a compounding pharmacist, we created Marty's Cobra Cove Ultra Strength Pain Relief Cream. Our CBD cream is whole plant extracted and made with high-quality amino acids and essential oils that can improve the strength and the absorption. Other CBD's products, well, they aren't like ours. It's the only thing that has been strong enough to knock out my pain. And I'm not the only one. Thousands of other people have benefited from the healing attributes of these products worldwide. So check out our website at www.martyscobracove.com. It's legal, it's safe, and it's 100% effective. So show your pain no mercy.
And we're back. You're listening to Answers for the Family, and we're speaking with Dana Suchow, and our topic today is how to raise kids who love their bodies. We had an instant message come through, and that is a question and a comment, I believe. This one reads, "It is no wonder that young girls are having so many insecurities about their bodies when they are bombarded at every turn by media that imposes such unrealistic standards of what beauty should look like. Recently, my 15-year-old niece has become obsessed with makeup, clothes, and dieting. My sister and I visited your website, and we were very impressed and grateful for your resource page. I think your work is critical, and we will be sharing your site with other parents far and wide." And this is from Annalie in Georgia.
Annalie, thank you. Yes, I forgot to say earlier, I have and this is, I always feel like I'm doing like a shameless plug here, but I have a free resource page. So if any parents are listening and you just feel like you don't know where to start, this feels like you're having an aha moment, but you're also like, okay, so I get it, but what do I do? What's the next step? If you go to my website, danasuchow.com/resources, I have Instagram accounts to follow. I have documentaries. I have podcasts. I have body positive books for kids, teens, and adults that are grouped by ages. So feel free to visit. I don't collect any information. It's all free. Share it if you need it. But Annalie, thank you so much for that.
Well, and to follow up with that question, let's talk about the effects of social media. That's having now these girls, because you not only have the commercialism part, but the social media part means you can now have somebody shaming you that's 5,000 miles away.
Yeah. Oh, so I have, I should probably write a book about my feelings about social media. I struggle because I love social media. I wouldn't be able to do the work I'm doing without it. But I hate it because, especially with the algorithm, especially with, just seeing other people's lives, you're seeing other people's highlight reels. People don't want to put the bad stuff online. People don't want to be honest online. They want to they want to create the perfect life. And so you see that over and over again, and it makes you think that that's reality. That's other people's reality. And I think that social media is one of the very serious causes of why we have a rise in teen depression and anxiety. I 100% believe that social media, I'm not saying it's all of the reason. I think there's a lot of things happening societally, but social media, people score that after they use social media, they feel lonelier. They feel worse about themselves. And yet it's supposed to be bringing us together. But at the end of the day, you're still sitting by yourself. And I think it's important because it does give people a sense of community, but we just have to be careful about what communities people are joining. Our kids and teens, are they joining a community that is focused on losing weight? Are they joining a community that's all about fitness? Are they joining a community that's obsessed about food, or that's, talking about, well, I ate an apple today and I split it into 3 pieces and that was breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I think we have to be careful because it's very easy for kids to, kind of find a wormhole and then find a community that feels like a supportive place, but really can be hurting their mental health.
Well, we're talking a lot about what some of the, that the kids are going through with the social media and things. Share a few things of what you went through when you dealt with your own eating disorder, and more importantly, how you got past it.
Yeah. So thank you for asking. I mean, I love sharing my story because it's so, integral to the work that I'm doing. But so, I started, and you said this a little bit in the beginning with my intro, but, I started as a fashion blogger. I loved clothes. I loved, doing photos and playing dress up. And I wanted to be flown around the world. I wanted to get free clothes. I wanted to be this kind of famous social media person. And, but I also had my eating disorder, and I was also struggling with that. And, as I was getting more and more into fashion, what was happening actually was I would restrict, so I would shoot for the blog on Saturday and Sunday. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I would exercise nonstop because I wanted to be thin and quote unquote pretty for my photos. And then I would shoot for the blog after, restricting and exercising all these days. And then by the time Sunday night came around after I had shot for the blog, I would just eat and eat like I was a bottomless pit. And I would do that for 3 days. And then Wednesday would come around, and then I would restrict and I would exercise. And I did this for like a year and a half, and I thought I was losing my mind. I mean, I felt so nuts. And, I was photoshopping my photos, and I was putting my highlight reel. I was putting my perfect self out online. And I was getting people commenting saying, "Oh my gosh, you're so beautiful. I wish I was you. Perfect body, ideal life." And I started getting paranoid that people were going to see me in real life and realize I was a fraud, and realize I wasn't as, perfect, quote unquote, perfect or flawless as I was online. And I really developed this paranoia, and I felt like I was living 2 separate lives. And what happened with me and the way I got into this work was I finally came clean to my followers very slowly. But I started sharing, some stuff I was going through. I said, I would post something and say, gosh, I really don't feel great about my body today. I really don't feel very confident. My skin's breaking out. My eczema is showing on my scalp. And I started getting people saying, "Oh my gosh, me too. Oh my gosh, I'm not alone. Thank you for sharing this." And I started realizing that being vulnerable, being true, being real it felt better. It was releasing the shame I felt. It was letting people know they're not alone. And I ended up being able to create my own community of people who wanted real stuff, of people who, were talking about their eating disorders. And so that's why I say, as much as I have a love-hate relationship with social media, I really credit finding the body positive community, finding the eating disorder recovery community online as, one of the things that helped save me. Another thing that really saved me was therapy. Going to therapy, finding a body image specialist, somebody who really knew how to work with me, and really doing the work, reading everything I could about body image and eating disorder and feminism and, sexism and all of this stuff on why women hate their bodies, and just learning and realizing it's not me. First of all, I'm not alone. And second of all, it's not my fault that I hated my body. I was taught to hate my body. Society told me to hate my body. The people who raised me hated their own body. So of course I was going to learn the same thing. And so again, going back to social media, I'm blessed that I had it. But before I found those communities, I was very deep in the fitness world. I was very deep in the fashion world. I was very deep in the, food obsession world online. And those are very easy places to find. For someone, if you're looking for it, if you're looking, you'll always be able to find something if you're out looking for it. There's always a community of weirdos or people who really feel, marginalized, or people who, really hate themselves. You will find it. But I'm blessed that I was able to get out of it. So, I think, probably there's a question a lot of people have is, my teen is going through this. I see my teen going through this. And I think, one of the most important things is letting your kids know they're not alone. I think so often parents want to be perfect. Parents want to, they never want to make a mistake. They never want to be vulnerable or show their cracks, because it's almost like your kids will see you as being weak. And I'm here to tell you that it's the opposite. I'm not saying that if you have an eating disorder to share your eating disorder or share everything you're going through with your 10-year-old. But if your 10-year-old comes to you and says, I don't like my body, I'm struggling with my looks, you can get down on their level. You can look them in the eye and say, I hear you, I see you, and you are not alone, because there are some days that I struggle too, but you know what? I still get up and I still know that I'm good enough, and I will still love you no matter what your body looks like. And so I think there's ways that we can almost connect with children who are going through this, because when I think back to my eating disorder, the thing that I felt the most was alone. I felt absolutely alone. I thought I was the only person in the world going through that. And I think it's really an important thing for parents is to let their kids know that they're not alone.
Yeah, I certainly agree. We have a question, another comment that has come in, and this one comes in from a teacher. This one actually came in last night, which I wanted to remind everybody, I appreciate the fact that when people take the time, you'll send in like an email or some other form to send in a message that you want asked during the show. And we get that often from teachers. And this one is another teacher, because right now they're teaching, in the middle of the day, they're teaching, but it allows them to send the question in ahead of time, and then they'll listen later. They've subscribed either through iTunes or through iHeartRadio or whatever, so that they get sent to their computer afterwards. They can relax and they can listen to the show and also listen and get their own questions answered. So I appreciate the people that take the time to do that ahead of time. This one reads, I wanted Dana to know how much I enjoyed her previous interview on your show. I'm a junior high teacher, and I understand intimately the struggles many of our teens are experiencing. As I suffered with bulimia all through college until I became ill and finally was forced to get help for my problem. I feel that eating disorders, under and overeating, and processed fast foods are seriously damaging the health of our entire generation of kids. Your work and others fighting the good fight are an inspiration. Thank you. And this is from Pauline in Louisiana.
Oh, Pauline, thank you. Thank you so much. I just want to say, a lot of times I feel like I'm like a salmon swimming upstream, or I'm playing whack-a-mole, and it's like, you feel like you get one thing and then another thing pops up, or, we get another celebrity hawking some diet thing, or some viral marketing campaign. And it means so much when people tell me that my work is helpful, or people just, people get it. I think that people are starting to wake up to this, and I am so thankful that people are getting it. I think we're tired of hearing that we should hate ourselves. I just think we're exhausted of it. And I think people are looking for another way, because this way isn't working.
Well, again, the fact that your number one focus is that the best diet out there is love yourself is, I think, the greatest thing. That's the greatest. The greatest tip that you can give any parent or any teacher, anybody who is working with young people. What are some other tips that you can give? Because sometimes just telling somebody to love themselves isn't.
Oh, of course.
What are some of the other tips that you would give parents who are already hearing from their children that they're having some body confidence issues?
Yeah. So I love that you said, love yourself sometimes isn't enough, because I have shifted from, instead of saying love yourself, to can it just be good enough? Can your body just be good enough for today? Because I think so many of us, so many people, loving your body feels too far away. It feels light years away from where you're at. If you're waking up in the morning and saying, oh my God, I'm ugly, I hate myself, I'm a piece of, whatever, I'm worthless, trying to say, oh, no, I love my body, I love myself, it's like you're lying to yourself. That just doesn't even feel authentic. That feels like, today's joke. And so I get it. And I just want to say, if saying I love my body or I love myself feels too hard, try baby steps. Try waking up in the morning and just looking in the mirror and going, you know what? This body is good enough for today. This body is good enough for the things I need to do today. It's going to get me to my doctor's appointment and to home, or it's going to allow me to hug my child. It's going to allow me to do this. I think we have to be grateful for the small things. And instead of going from 0 to 100, which is I hate myself to I love myself, can we go from 0 to 5 to 10 to 15? Let's start doing the work. And so if you say, my body's good enough, that is still better than I hate myself. And so, to go back to your question, what are some things we can do? So I actually have so many tips and tools, and I for everyone, I'm like, this is the most important one. This is the most important one. But one of the most important ones is not body shaming yourself or other people, and especially in front of children. If little ears are present, really watching what we say, really making sure that we are speaking kindly about bodies. When we point out, someone else's body in front of children, I said it earlier, but what that tells kids is, I will love you as long as you don't look like that. And when we body shame ourselves, especially if your children are your biological children, if you're saying, oh, I hate my arms, your child might have those same arms. There's a good chance your child is going to have some of your body parts because they are biologically yours. And so, they're again registering that, okay, well, I can't have that body part, or my mom or my dad or my guardian, my parent, my grandparent, whatever, isn't going to love me. And the thing about kids is children depend on adults for survival. And this goes again throughout evolution, but children can't, humans take the longest to reach maturity. And so children really do depend on adults for survival, for shelter, for love, for community, for food, for all of these things. And so they will do anything possible to keep an adult's love. And, this is a lot of times why, children from abusive homes will still choose to go back with the parent, because they will do anything for that parent's love. And that means that they kind of have to view their parents as perfect. So if a child is going to do anything for your love and you're saying, I'll love you as long as you don't look like this, they're going to do anything in their power to not look like that. So they're going to diet, they're going to try restrictive behavior, they're going to hate themselves, they're going to internalize it because they need you for their survival. So, we really have to think deeper than just, I hate my body. And we have to think, what are these words doing in a child's brain? How are they bouncing around inside a child's skull? And I think it's really important to pay attention to our language. If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. If you have to body shame yourself, go in the bathroom, shut the door, say whatever you want. But if little ears are present, and even your inner child ears, even if your ears are listening, no one deserves that negativity. And I always say, if you wouldn't let someone else say it to you or your child, then don't say it to yourself or your child.
Well, and again, I'm glad that you brought that part of it up in regards to what you're saying about yourself, because so many people would say, well, I would never say that to my child. That would be horrible.
Oh, of course.
And you go, that's great that you wouldn't, but you're saying it to yourself, which essentially in the same way. So, so again, I think it's a great point. And I wanted to share a little bit about, because for those that know that one of my companies does crisis intervention and adolescent transport. Mm-hmm. So contract where we're taking young people out to different programs, and it's for whatever it is that they're going through. But one of the things that I have seen over the years that has been such an incredible positive in these programs as I go out and I tour them is just the point that you're bringing up, where they are, on the one hand, they're focusing on a healthy diet there, but on the other hand, they are telling them that they are everything that they need to be, the way in which they are, and that and that they're really focusing on getting them to love themselves in so many different ways, and body is one of them. And so the nice part is that I'm seeing the change, and it's coming through boarding schools, and it's coming through certain programs and stuff, but it is out there. So anytime we can see a shift, sometimes it takes a little longer to catch up for everybody, but it is happening, and it is happening with a lot of programs that are focusing on the love, and I think that's just incredible.
And, just a little tip, from being in the fashion industry, fashion models, eating disorders run rampant. Self-hatred runs rampant. I think there's a quote, Cindy Crawford said, "I wish I looked like Cindy Crawford." Again, just because she's so photoshopped, the photos are so manipulated with, makeup people and hair people and somebody blowing wind and, flashes. I just want to say, even the people, the bodies that we're idolizing, they struggle with loving themselves. They struggle with feeling good enough. And so again, if we can kind of zoom out a little bit, if we can zoom out, look at it holistically and go, these are still, the people we're idolizing are still people with issues and trauma and pain and struggles. And just because their body looks like that doesn't mean what's happening on the inside is perfect and loving. And, another tip that I want to talk about is exercise. The way we talk about exercise, I think it's really important. Diet culture has really kind of co-opted exercise into being solely about weight loss. And when we talk about exercise as a way to change our bodies, we end up losing the beauty and the wonderful aspects of exercise, and exercise turns into a chore and almost a punishment. And exercise is such a beautiful way to have children develop team building skills, release endorphins, get rid of stress, help people sleep better, help people's brains better, get our blood flowing, our oxygen levels flowing, again, social skills. Group exercise, team sports, things like that are an incredible way for children to develop team building skills and social skills. But when we tell children that it's only to lose weight, we take the beauty out of it. We kind of rob children of play. We rob children of just being in touch with their bodies and movement and stress release. And so, parents, teachers, adults, caregivers, we need to be careful about how we're talking about exercise. We really need to, if we're talking about exercise, it's got to be that we are changing our insides and we are not worried about changing the outside. And I know that you might be worried about changing the outside, but when little ears are present, when teen ears are present, we've got to be talking about it as a way that we're beautifying the inside. The outside doesn't matter. And I think that's really important.
Thank you. Thank you so much, because yes, I couldn't agree more that one of the greatest things about exercise is it's mental and physical health. It is.
Yes, absolutely.
It's going to improve our health on so many different levels. So thank you for that. Dana, I just looked, unfortunately, we are out of time, but thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And again, for her resource guide and stuff, you can go to DanaSuchow.com, and that's DanaSuchow.com. There's plenty of resources there. Dana, again, I just want to acknowledge you for tackling this and staying on it, and know that you're welcome back anytime.
Oh, Alan, thank you so much. I really appreciate the show, the platform, you sharing this space with other people. Again, I thank you. I think we could talk for hours and hours about this, but, thank you again. And I just, happy holidays, and thanks for having me.
All right. Now, for everybody out there, please be sure to put us on your calendar and tune in next Monday, when we will be joined by Chris Bencour to discuss her new book of Grief, Garlic, and Gratitude, Returning to Hope and Joy from a Shattered Life, Sam's Love Story. And please visit our archives of past interviews at answersforthefamily.com, or you can subscribe to our show through iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Spreaker, and now we're also on iHeartRadio. So if you can go to those, subscribe, leave a review. If you like what you hear, let people know. It not only helps us reach more people, but know that we greatly appreciate it. And the next time you're on Facebook or Twitter, please remember to stop by our page, check out some of our latest posts. If you like them, please like us, continue to spread the word. And for everybody out there, be good human beings, and be with us again next week on Answers for the Family.
Founded over 30 years ago to meet the needs of families in crisis, West Shield has continually focused on resolving issues that negatively impact families and businesses. Our signature therapeutic transportation service helps to ensure that adolescents in crisis are safely transported to specialized schools, programs, and treatment centers with unsurpassed experience and success. We are supported by our full-service licensed investigation agency that has legally, professionally, and compassionately located hundreds of runaways and teens. We are experienced and qualified to help, offering solutions which may include referrals to our international network of top professionals in the fields of educational consulting, psychology, psychiatry, and investigations. Simply put, West Shield Adolescent Services and West Shield Investigations are the best solutions when your family is facing a personal crisis. Call 1-800-899-8585, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's 1-800-899-8585, or visit our website at westshield.com. Thank you.
You're listening to Answers for the Family with Alan Cardoza, right here on LA Talk Radio.